Hello everyone, this is Cookies, and we've got turn 29 of the second round of Luce's tournament. This is the second qualifying game out of 10. So, and it looks increasingly more and more like just the Atlantis and Agartha show. As some of the other wars calm down, the TNG war is over. So let's go ahead and take a look at our messages. Marching to Atlantis is capped to end this war. Both our games are ruined for sure now. Maybe I can stage a win with some solid Diplo. Yeah. Although I don't know that Atlantis is ruined unless Agartha has success on the Diplo front. If Atlantis gets through this war with no one intervening, which I think would be a little surprising, but if he does pull it off, I think Atlantis will be in position 1. Because at least from what we've seen so far from Agartha hasn't found an answer to Ice Guard. Although maybe that'll change this turn. And then from Calum, hello, all-seeing eye people. Forgot to send updates throughout the game, so going to try and make up for lost time. I feel like I'm in a really good position with Tianchi and Mary being the obvious leaders. Yeah, I think that's fair. I like being in the middle of the pack at this point in a game, so I don't become an obvious coalition target. I think that's fair. In some ways, a lot of Dominions games, at least that I've been in, seem to sometimes run on the Mario Kart principle, where the leader gets coalitioned and then the runner-up wins the game. But it certainly doesn't happen all the time. I expect Tianchi to go after Marignan next. Which, if that's two game leaders fighting, I think that's very good for middle position players, as long as it stalemates a bit, or is it very bloody? Which will free me up to try and finish off Man. Okay, so he's going to continue that war. There's no peace, like we were wondering about last turn. And prepare to Elf, whichever side of the Mary Tianchi conflict is winning. Okay, yeah, that's a good plan. I'm up to about 300 Raven Guards for elfing purposes, 10 squads of 30. Yeah, I think that, I think previously he's been running a lot of squads of 50. I don't know that 50 kills small defense squads in PD any better than 30, but they can certainly die a lot to, like, if a more significant defense shows up, they'll certainly die to it. Yeah, it kind of depends. Mixing it up could also be good. But we'll see how they go. And should have 14 to 15 squads by turn 35, when I expect I'll have Man in check and be looking for a new target. Okay, so he's feeling pretty confident. I think Man still has... Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen Man recruiting Priest, so he might not have his boar back. And it'll be dependent a little bit on the Earthbound stack moving over to siege at least the capital. I could see that. He's also going to have to put Pyrene back in check. I have a Draconian factory going on a 20% bonus conjuration site. So by turn 35, I should have 300 plus Draconians ready for fort cracking. That is my favorite use for Draconians. So all aboard this plan. I'm up to 700 research points a turn, and I've got Enchantment 6, which is what we saw, Rigor, Relief, and Poison Arrows. Yeah, we did see that as well. And Conjuration 5 Draconians, and we'll hit Alt 5 next turn. My goal is to power through to Alt 9. Right, because I'm not planning to show these until the series is over. Okay. I would say, generally speaking, for a lot of castings, because I think a lot of people do like 30 or 40 turn delays, you maybe want to leave out some of the future plans, but this should be fine because I don't plan to release this until the game is over. But yeah, Army of Bronze is great, especially on birds. Although you do get a little bit of a shock malice that can hinder certain Wrathful Skies plays, which Caleb might want to do later. Army of Giants and Army of Mist, which makes a stack of 300 Draconians almost impossible to deal with. I should get to Alt 8 by turn 38 and Alt 9 by turn 44. That is a very fast Alt 9. I do wonder if he realizes that it's individual research, though. So he'll probably just have one of those, I think. We'll see. Unless something unexpected happens. I've been able to avoid wasting time on construction research by buying gear from TNG. Okay, but that'll stop if you vulture him. So maybe do have a plan for that. I'm still sitting at Evo 0 and Thom 0. Interesting. Okay, because normally people expect big evocation plays from Calum, so he's doing something more unexpected. So I pray my lack of direct damage spells doesn't come back to haunt me. So far, my 8 death, 4 nature Raven is working great. Relief / Rigor was instrumental in defeating Man's Big Stack a couple of turns ago. I doubt anyone else will be caught by that combo again, but if they spend time prepping for it while I put together a different attack, empowering my Raven to 1 water for Foul Vapors, or the aforementioned Mist form, +7 hard strength, hard-bodied Draconians, then that's a win. Gearing up to assault Man's Cap in 4 turns, grabbing a fort first, and Kosk is always dangerous, so it's not a foregone conclusion I'll finish him off cleanly. Let me go just double check the game settings, so I'm not a complete derp. I do believe this is individual research, so I think this is going to take him longer than he thinks. Yeah, spells are researched individually. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, but yeah, this is a fantastic summary. So thank you to Caleb for putting all that together for us. All right. It sounds like he has a very solid game plan. It seems like expansion was rough. I would have called it, I did call it a failed expansion, but wasn't really punished for it. And now it looks like he's in a very strong position. All right, let's see these battles. So we've got Atlantis attacking Agartha. More Ice Guard. This is in Heat 2. So they're down to 14 protection, which is very killable for the 17 damage broadswords. That said, they've still got an 18 protection Ice Aegis. And I wonder if the Ice Aegis was supposed to get weaker as being part of the whole ice armor thing, but it doesn't. I don't think it looks like it is. Maybe we can check a different stack. Alright, so I mean, if he's killing Cave Knights like this in Heat 2, I'm not sure what Agartha does here. Probably would have needed Evocation Magic, but it looks like he ran down Conjuration. And maybe like the Alchemist. I think that's their Evocation Mage. So does kill 10 of the Ice Guard. Loses 5 Cave Knights. Ice Guard are 16, so that's 32 gold each for 75 gold Cave Knights. I mean, this is still a pretty big advantage to Atlantis, even without accounting for the priest. In a Bhakti, Atlantis clears the Independence. It's just a few barbarians. I'm curious, this is also Heat 2, okay. Agartha attacks here with the Dracolich. It is in Dominion, so he gets his Undying. These guys do have magic weapons, though. The Dracolich relies on invulnerability, which doesn't work against magic weapons, so this 20 protection versus mundane is only 9. So as long as they can withstand the breath attack and the fear aura, which is very strong, then they can kill it. But I think the Dracolich ought to be fine here, but we'll see. All right. I think it lost a little bit more than half, just not enough Ice Guard. Gosh, down to 43 hit points. Man, you're out. Well, I think he might live because of that. He did manage to kill the 600 gold mage, so that's a pretty big win. Killed 4 Ice Guard. Routed a bunch of Ice Guard. But yeah, just I'm not sure what you do with that Dracolich against Atlantis. Alright, we got another little stack. These sepulchrals are pretty nice. They have a 41 damage magic attack. They also work well in the cold, which is also nice. They can work underwater. So I can see the vision behind these for fighting Atlantis. They've got 16 protection that isn't based on invulnerability. They got 69 hit points. So that's kind of the reasoning behind them. But unfortunately, they've run into a whole army. And Atlantis has been very deliberate about picking up ice claves that are high damage, and then very tanky ice guard with ice blades and ice aegises, or the shields. So we do get rigor mortis though. So that, all right. So he has made it up to enchantment 6. Right? Because yeah, that's a Chthonian necromancer. So this is the cheese. They do have low MR. But these guys are skelly spamming. I'm not sure if this is enough stuff, even with point buffing, to wear out the front line before it wins, but we'll see. Yeah, and all of this stuff except the 2 sepulchrals are living, so they're already all fatigued out. And Atlantis is the one with the undead to clean up. Well, I guess it's 2 sepulchrals versus long dead, but... yeah, we get an HP route. Or is that just a regular route? Just a regular route. Okay, so both of them are here. Oh, is the cheese working? Okay, the long dead dissolve from the route. The cheese does indeed work. Delicious, delicious cheese. So all the killing power is in these 2 guys with weapons of sharpness. So they just one-hit KO these guys. Carla, man. Man, this guy's at negative 1 HP. This is so close to not working. Holy shit. Alright, well this definitely changes the ball game. There was a plan all along. I was blind to it. I probably would have been caught by it. Kills 121 Ice Guard. But loses an Alchemist, a Necromancer, and 4 Servants. I kind of want to do the gold cost on this. I think it's fantastic that the cheese at least worked. So we've got 16 times 121 plus 23, 36, 46. So killed 1,982 gold. I mean, just call it 2K. Agartha loses 190. 415 plus 260 times 4, and that's because the Necromancer was at minus 1 HP. So this army is abandoned too. Plus 70 plus 7 times 26. And 3248. Okay. So Agartha's down 1,945 gold. So they actually lost very similar gold amounts. But I would argue that I do wonder if the Ice Guard are more replaceable at this point, but that is a lot of Ice Guard. So, all right. Sorry, I was getting some messages there. Okay. I'm not sure. What's more replaceable? 6 mages or 121 Ice Guard? I mean, at this point, Atlantis is winning the war, so probably the Ice Guard. Because their forts are not under siege, and Agartha's are. Agartha also lost a slow to recruit mage. So this is actually 7 fort turns. Although they do have a citadel cap. But I think the biggest victory here is just morale for Agartha because he's managed to kill an Atlantis stack. Alright. That was here. And then next up is Gilgad. So we've got the Cave Knights always running around. And this is Heat 2. I think the Cave Knights win this one. I think they should do it pretty easily, as long as the commander doesn't die. He's almost dead. But he's so angry about it. He kills one of the archers out of spite. Okay. So loses 1 Cave Knight, kills 4 more Ice Guard and an Unsleeping. Now we have Marignon on Satis. So we've got the Virtue moving in to put the fort back under siege. He's bought back up the PD, but isn't protecting it. Alright, so for those curious about the buff script, we've got Body Ethereal, Blur, Gift of Cheated Fate. Iron Will, Temper Armor, Strength of Giants, and then the Virtue casts Personal Misform, Air Shield, Fire Shield, has a Dragon Helmet, Black Steel Plate, Pendant of Luck, and a Snake Ring. Is also now up to 5 stars for experience. Has an attack of 22 with its 31 damage Flambeau. And it looks like it's going to add some Battle Fury for 24 attack. And then jump in? Okay. And then it should be able to kill all of this. This is probably easier than many of the provinces taken in expansion. Alright. So that's right here. Then next up, we've got Flemistan. We've got a big thug with an axe of sharpness, armor piercing weapon, 27 slashing, with an ice aegis. This might have been like a free event item, or he might be purposefully going for the slashing attack due to maybe some kind of pierce resistance for whatever he's fighting. So it has an ice helmet, storm armor from Bogus, boots of the messenger. I think he got this from Bogus, if I remember. Yeah, because Bogus was right in his farm. And then an amulet of resilience for reinvigoration. Let's go ahead and see what he does. Air shield, breath of winter. This is in heat 0. Personal flight, blessing. I forget if they get air randoms. I think they do. Okay. I mean, not a very interesting fight, but it's cool to... It's our first time seeing this thug. Alright. In Underhome, we've got Tianchi attacking Atlantis. And this was part of their agreed upon settlement. Tianchi gets part of this cave system. That's why it's just a little raiding party for the most part. Okay. Then Bountiful Land, we've got Agartha attacking Atlantis. I guess that's a way of pinging it, but didn't script the commander to retreat. And that was... Am I blind? That was here. Sorry if I'm spoiling stuff. Next up, we have our second TNG attack. This time going after the other throne. This one should be pretty simple. It looks like we're getting some Winter Ward and Flaming Arrows. That's not really a big deal. And otherwise, these are independent troops. I will say, though, scripting archery into shielded infantry while eating crossbow bolts is not my favorite script. They did bring out the Will-O-Wisp. I think this thug might die because he's fighting alone. 26 protection, that was pretty nice. Good buff script. His regen. We'll see how he holds up. He is next to a water elemental. Yep, letting these salamander asp get in flame poison bites is also not great. I'm gonna be honest, I think he would have mopped the floor with this army if he had several squads on attack archers, because he's pinged it, so he should know the formation. Alright. And or you could do attack rear. I think there's any number of things you could do. You have one squad fight the infantry though, and then the other ones go kill all the other stuff. So, not gonna lie, that wasn't my favorite script. He loses his thug, 8 ancestor vessels, up to 27 barb heavy horse, so pretty heavy attrition for essentially killing mostly independent stuff. Let the crossbows pick up 40 kills. So, but he does have the throne, so the position is still improved. I should be able to replace these losses reasonably quickly. This might, like if he was actively recruiting the barb heavy horse, this might be a turn of recruitment. You know, 1 thug, maybe 8 ancestor vessels. He might not, this might be a little over 1 turn based on his dominion. And then, you know, this is pretty replaceable. I'm not sure if he plans to jump straight into another conflict, though. So maybe this is a way of lowering some upkeep. But I think he is planning to jump into some conflict, so hopefully we'll see a little bit of reflection on that script. But yeah, it does get the throne, and it is a much better throne. The last throne he got was the Throne of Death. Next up, we've got Agartha attacking Atlantis. We've got an Earth 2. Stone Skin. 2 casts. Temper Armors. I think he got him. I mean, it's a nice little budget raiding force. Now, unfortunately, this is in Cold 1, because we've got snow outside. So these guys are 20 protection, and they have a Cold Malice. So they're kind of freezing out, although it doesn't seem to be a big issue yet. Then we got 26 protection, they do 16 damage. These guys do 24 damage and have 20 protection. So, definitely favors the Ice Guard still. It was enough to kill PD, so it's very expendable, but it's just another dead Agarthan mage. Okay, so I think that was here. Yeah, so loses this little group, gets 1 kill. In Kunaral, we've got another little budget group. I think it's pretty much the same thing, although Body Ethereal works on PD, but does nothing against Ice Guard. We'll see if he keeps doing it. Although this might just be enough stuff that it still wins. Yeah, and this is in heat too. Although the Necromancer running in isn't great. I mean, he was probably just on advancing cast, but watching him run in front of the troops was a little bit frightening. Okay, so loses 1 crossbow, kills a couple of Ice Guard, takes the province, so it's worth it. Atlantis attacks Agartha. So it's probably closer to medium commitment for Atlantis. Not expecting him to run into any trouble here. Clears out a fair amount of PD too. Alright. That was here. No. Here. Loses 1 Ice Guard, takes the province. Agartha attacks Dragon Point. All right, so this is the main army. They run into PD. Although this army has certainly become a lot more scary for Atlantis to fight. Very clearly has another Necromancer set up for Rigor Mortis as a Death 4 mage. It has gems on various other commanders. This guy has water gems, this guy has fire gems. So only the fire mage is set up to actually cast at the moment, I think. And then everyone else is acting as a gem mule. Maybe this guy was supposed to be the water mage and he just got the gems mixed up. But it could also be an attempt to prevent gem burning. We got a couple of earth mages here. Alright, so this army is ready to fight. Loses a couple of troops. In Deep Forest, got a small Atlantis raid against some PD. I don't think we need to watch that. Loses the Snow Captain and is defeated. Okay, maybe we should have watched it. Does the Snow Captain just run ahead? So for everyone watching, this is the Snow Captain, gets hit by an arrow and is bleeding out. Is now routed, which means his squad will rout. They simply can't stand the thought of killing the two guys that they're right in front of. Okay. A pretty sad way to lose a raiding group, not gonna lie. I would love to see the return of some sort of script where you could have commanders just stand still. It would prevent a lot of these kind of derpy endings from happening. Would at least force someone to do an attack career. Okay, and then we've got Calum attacking Calcis, which is the forest north of Pyrene. Just finds PD. So it should do just fine. Loses 2 Raven Guard. We've got the Draconians making an appearance, along with the 3rd Heavenborn. I think this is a hero. I must admit, I don't have a lot of experience with Calum or their summons, but I think this is a hero. A weapon that does fear. Oh, no MR check, it just does it. Okay, that's kind of cool. And cold. And it's only on hit, too. It doesn't even have to damage. Adds armor piercing, cold fatigue damage. That's really cool. Going up against some Trogs. Draconians are pretty nice for this because they're as big as the Trogs. So they won't get trampled and the two sides can claw each other to death. So I think, what did the guy do? I think he did a prop buff. Giant strength. Oh, okay. But it's still fine. Loses 4 Draconians, clears out the Trogs. Then Marignon goes ahead and storms the Cetis Fort. I like the fact that he's just rolling in. I don't think he pinged it, if I remember right. But he might have known that there was potentially not much inside. I do like the Cetis bringing in the scout. It's the type of thing I do. When I'm dying, I go ahead and recall the scouts and bring them in for sieges. It doesn't do anything, but it does make my opponent kill every last thing I've made all game, which I do enjoy. He's rolled out a couple of the Blood Hinge Druids, so he is revealing a piece of tech that I think Satis didn't know about, and that is tech that Satis can share with opponents. So I'm not sure if that was necessary, but, you know, he's doing it. We got Giacomo, the Guardian of the Chalice, Heroic Endurance, so Reinvigoration 2, incredible defense skill and attack skill. Well, let's go ahead and see what all they cast. I'm not even sure if it'll trigger gem usage. Got some imps. These are mercs, by the way. These are also mercs. So he is okay throwing these fireballs in. He is sacrificing a few of his own troops to the poison clouds. But I think he's okay taking these small losses. Yeah, the mercs are definitely having second thoughts. But does get the W. Let's go ahead and see what some of these mages cast. Okay, so using them as nature mages. Body Ethereal. So a lot of point buffing. Body Ethereal is really nice. It helps the troops get through the fort walls. So big emphasis on that. Some Battle Fury, a little bit of evocations, also good for clearing walls and gates. Yeah, and some poison arrows. Okay. So mobilizes a lot of mages for this, just to make sure he won, but wasn't necessarily revealing a lot of tech, but did reveal certain independent mages he's gotten a hold of. Does take the fort, loses one chart maker. The mercs got merked. So these casualties don't really matter. Only lost 11 swordsmen, 8 royal guard, and 4 crossbows. Not a bad price to pay for having to fight your way through poison slingers. And he now has a base of operations right next to the Satis capital. Next up, we've got an indie attack on Tianchi. It looks like a ghost going after a commander because he's a death mage. There is an event for that. If we're lucky, he will make skeletons and not do poison darts because the ghost is scary. It's also a lot. I mean, he does have a spirit club with 12 attack. 14 defense, though. 10 attack life drain on 9 defense. Well, I guess some of that is from a limp. Alright, so the ghost wins that one. Fairly sad for Tianchi, loses at 310 gold mage. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the map. So we can see Tianchi here moving through the Atlantis stuff that they've negotiated for. Honestly, a pretty cheap buy-off for Atlantis. We do have a growing number of mages in here for the Steel Evans. So the skull staffs that he's been risking in combat have just been costing him. Yeah, he might have hammers too. They might just be costing him 6 death gems, which is pretty affordable. And anything else going on in the underground? The underground's generally been pretty quiet. I think TNG should consider vulturing these two man provinces. That would be a nice pickup. We still have two caveman provinces. And then Calum is still patrolling this Greyshade Forest. He's getting a Grey Enchantress every 4 turns. Now, by admission from his messages, he's not been running down Evocation, and I think Evocation is where Winds of Death and Wailing Winds lives. So he might not be able to make great use of these mages yet, which is probably why he hasn't forted it. So maybe he's just picking up a few over time, and then eventually he'll get there. Let me just double check Wailing Winds. Yeah, also Evocation. So doesn't seem too concerned about it just yet. It didn't change any research that he's doing or his game plan. But we do see him ready to attack Man. So Man has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Has 10 provinces remaining. Agartha is holding up an army on Pyrene's cap while losing a lot of his land. So I think he's just basically storing Pyrene for Calum at the moment, which is interesting. Because now with his new Rigor Mortis tech, if he rolled this army back towards this fort, this army could probably trade out with a couple of these Atlantean groups. But that would require letting Pyrene be a free entity for a moment. Maybe Calum's bought this army a little bit, like bought it going to Pyrene either through Diplo or maybe some gold or gems. But yeah, I have a feeling next turn there's going to be 30 Raven Guard hitting all of these land provinces. Because he said he has 10 groups and there's 4, I think 10 provinces here. A couple of these might bounce. I think putting all these directly on the border means Man will see them. He might try to stealth some of them in, but I think he plans to just strike. We do have the Earthbound. I think the Earthbound are going to move on to Ostmark. So maybe one of the Raven Guard groups can go into the caves if it has the movement. And then, yeah, and then the Earthbound will be on Ostmark. He can try to take Ostmark. And then he'll, if he's lucky, maybe Man will be under siege. It depends on if this army is patrolling. Which I do think Man will patrol next turn. Unless he's trying to hit a key piece of tech he thinks he needs. Let's see, he's got, okay, so kind of a spread of income. Ooh, this is tough though. I think Man's probably screwed it. I mean, assuming he patrols these two, he'll kill 2 of the Raven Guard groups. He might spread out some troops to try and catch birds. But then that'll prevent him from responding to Ostmark. He could try to do sort of an all-in defense of Ostmark, knowing that the cap will get sieged. Although it does have 25 PD, so maybe the cap will get hit by 2 groups. Or maybe it'll not get hit. I'm not sure. I do think the main, maybe a big play on Ostmark could be interesting. He has revived the boar. I don't know where he got the priest levels. I didn't think he'd be able to do it, but he's done it. Is it just my ignorance of their mage core? No? I presume he's been picking up bishops then. Or Lord Wardens. Are the Lord Wardens... They've got glamour magic. They are stealthy. Oh, bishop's here. Okay. So that's how he's revived it. Okay. So yeah, maybe some sort of all-in defense here is the play. More gifts from heaven. Stuff like that. I think it'll either... I think it's coming soon, though. We should have a showdown very soon. If it's not next turn, then maybe he'll wait for Ostmark to be taken as long as he's able to recruit in Man, and he'll do his final stand there. Generally, I prefer dying on the periphery, but I'm not the same as many players. I still think he'll all-in defense Ostmark. I'm not sure if these troops can make it. It is just 2 planes. I think they'll try to show up if they can. Is it Tower Guard? 10 map move? Maybe they just patrol. Or they come here and secure a retreat route. You hope your 25 PD can hold the cap. Maybe leave a couple of people there. He's got some stuff back here to catch raiders. Okay. Yeah, I think Caleb's definitely going to lose some Raven Guard next turn, but it might seal the war for him. Another play for Man is, yeah, spreading out, catching as many raiding groups as possible and trying to kill them, but knowing you're going to lose Ostmark as a result because you'll be spread out. But you would have killed a lot of the Raven Guard, kept your income up, and then maybe you try to ride to Ostmark's defense. But then you'd be all split up and they could push smaller groups. I don't know. I am curious to see what Man does. Man's a very good player. Definitely has a lot more experience than I do. So we'll have to wait and see. When it comes to Agartha, there's still sieging Pyrene here. Actually, let's talk about Calum. Calum sent us a message. So they've got the discount site here. This is where they're picking up the Draconians. It is worth forwarding at some point. But he's probably focusing on winning the war. We've got more Earthbound on the way. He's got a fort under construction on this throne. Just so many things to fort, not enough time. Maybe he doesn't need to fort this right this second, as long as he gets his discount on Draconians, which I believe makes them 16 gems a cast, which is very affordable. I think it's 20 year. I'm not allowed to, I guess it's disabled for omniscience. All right. But yeah, otherwise, Calum seems to be in control in this area until Man does something to his army. All right. And then we've got the very chaotic Agartha-Atlantis war. So Agartha has freed Frosted Peaks. His cap's open for the moment. There's not a whole lot home here to defend, but he does have 25 PD and a Necromancer. As long as it's the right random, that may be all he needs. He is raiding somewhat successfully. Atlantis was able to trace income from all his raiding, though, back to Atlantis. So that's going to be a pretty significant income thing. We've got Cradle of Faith now, Dom spreading for Atlantis. Although it is fighting with this throne, so it should stay pretty solid. Agarthan Dominion. Yeah. This army is staring down a pretty large Atlantis army. Which, I think this has been backing off from Frosted Peaks. So maybe he's trying to get more stuff, but I'm not sure if he'll give a straight fight into Rigor. I do wonder what Atlantis will do. Because Atlantis can play the Undead Rigor game too. And then you can also just keep attempting to starve Agartha out. So we've got a bunch of Atlantis stuff here. Where did the Dracolich go? There's so many battles. Let me see. The Bhakti? Okay, so here. Okay, so the Dracolich went to Packwoods. So way down here on this throne. I do wonder about the Agartha. I wonder if something happened between these players or if this is just some sort of weird Diplo. Because this, I'm going to be honest, this seems very spiteful when your own forts are being put under siege. Atlantis going over here, I think, to claim the throne. Yeah. Although you might have already had it claimed. Well, we've got a very strong Atlantis push here in the center. A very strong Agarthan flanks. Fortunately for Agartha, he does have 5 of his forts, 6, including underground, 6 forts able to recruit. Only 1 is under siege. Wonder what Atlantis does about this. I think twice warning some mages is definitely an option. And then you have white mages that can just spill undead onto a battlefield, but the sepulchral guys that Agartha's been picking up are, I think, would kill a lot of undead unless you did some sort of advancing cast. Water elementals might be good. I don't think they're affected by rigor. Or I guess ice elementals in this territory, which I think have a magic attack. I am curious though. Atlantis still is up a lot, but Agartha now has shown teeth. He's killed an Atlantis stack. And I think he's proven that the war is going to be bloodier than Atlantis is maybe leaning towards. If the Diplo hasn't soured too much between them, maybe now that you've killed a stack, now you can talk to Atlantis about maybe some sort of peace agreement. But Atlantis has already given up some land to TNG to pursue this war, so he might feel too invested. Very interesting. I would presume if this army walked onto this lab or a commander is transferred, that there's... with the death of that necromancer, there's maybe 3 Agarthan forces. With the summons, I don't think I see... Blind fighters, sepulchrals. I'm not seeing a lot of sepulchrals. There's 12 in this army. But in terms of doing his little cheese stacks, I'm not seeing a lot of other ones. There's going to be a couple in here. But they might just not be showing up in scouting reports. All right. Well, I think a reasonable response from Atlantis is to go into like 30 to 40 man groups to try and knock out these Agarthan armies. And you can probably build more of those than he can build stacks based on necromancers, at least for a while. You can try to starve them out a bit, trade into the mages until maybe Atlantis magic comes online. Okay. Sorry I'm spending so much time on this one. I find it a really interesting war that I've really not seen a lot of the stuff coming. So it's I've been learning a lot from it, even just doing the casting. All right. Let's go ahead and talk really quick about TNG. So they just took the Throne of Dreams, which they will like probably a lot more than the Throne of Death. I do wonder, did they claim? They did not claim the Throne of Death yet. They are going to fort this, though. The Throne of Dreams, I bet they will claim. One Sloth is a little bit of a bummer, but I think he'll be okay with it. Magic +1, I think, is what he wants right now for scaling. And the gem income is also pretty nice. Because it looks like there's a lot of plains in his empire, so he might not, aside from Walnut Woods, he might not have a lot of great gem income. I mean, he's got Patala, he's got some death gem income over here, but otherwise I'm not seeing a heck of a lot. All right. So we've talked about Calum, Man, Agartha, Atlantis. I think last up we've got Marignon trying to finish off Satis. So they just took this fort here. And they're just about to work on the capital, so they've got some more troops about to come in. They'll have to figure out a solution because a lot of their mercs died. I guess they still have some. Maybe they didn't get off the battlefield in time. And I think he's going to bring in these devils to eventually help storm the citadel here. So that'll be one attack vector. Then he's still got his evocations and point buffs. And he'll try to wear down the stack. I think he's also got a fair number of missionaries. Yeah, he's got a few at least. And missionaries are there for banishment. So he's got a few different attack vectors, plus his virtue. So as long as the virtue doesn't get murked by a black dragon, I think he'll be in pretty good shape. And I do think the dragon will be back up by the time this is sieged down. I forget if it got killed in the last big encounter. So he is going to have to deal with that. That could be dangerous for the virtue. Otherwise, Marignon's in great shape. They've got large garrisons in their forts, which I suppose helps deter other nations from attacking them, but I would say Calem's probably busy. Although a lot of these nations have shown a willingness to just attack random provinces near them. So maybe that helps deter that, just having this huge garrison right next to this throne. Has other garrisons. He's also double timing it for blood hunting. Is getting use out of the first gate, the Devil's Den. He's got the Blood Hinge Druid, so it's a great setup for Marignon to do even more blood than they would normally do. We do have a fertility cult there. But yeah, I think Marignon's in great shape. They just have to take a clean fight on Satis. If they lose their army, or even somehow their virtue there, it could be a little bit annoying. I mean, they should still win the war versus Satis, but it'll just take longer. I don't think they want it to take longer. Especially if they end up fighting Tianqi. Although it does feel a bit like a diagonal war. So I don't know that Tianqi should want to fight that kind of war. I'm still in the camp of I think Tianqi should attack Calem. Backstab Calem, but if they do go for Marignon and Calem takes clean fights with Man, Calem's going to be in a very happy position where they can potentially vulture a lot of Tianqi, while Tianqi's stuff is over here, and probably kill Tianqi. And whereas they might not choose to go after Marignon, because Marignon has tons of stuff here. And then at that point, they've more or less consolidated their column. And now they can start picking away at the edges and scaling, and it just becomes a very nasty Calem snowball from there. But yeah, I think that's it for this one. Why don't you guys let me know what you think Tianqi should do, what you think Marignon should do, presuming Marignon finishes this work cleanly, and maybe even what Calem should do. Although I think it's a little early to speculate. Man's demise. Kosk still has a fair number of troops. He's a good player. And you never want to start looking past the immediate objective against good players. So, but yeah, hopefully everyone has a good one, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.